Hi, we're Quaint and Curious Volumes. My name is James, and today I'm going to do the Friday Reads report. Friday Reads on a Sunday in this economy. Anyway, I just wanted to come on and talk a bit about some of the things I read last week and some other bookish thoughts and tell a story about going to the bookstore. Who doesn't like that, right? Well, I guess lots of people. Anyway, so last week, pretty good reading week, even though my job, my straight job, my day job, my actual job, tried to ruin everything, but that's okay. It happens sometimes. But anyway, I got to read The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, oft challenged and banned for, I presume, explicit sexual content and child abuse and all kinds of other unpleasant subject matter, but so powerfully written and so kind of unexpected in the way it told the stories and switched around in time and just if you haven't read it, it's a short book and a very powerful one that I think you should read. The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. Not really what I expected it was going to be. I figured there was going to be maybe something more body horror involved. Although there is some sort of body horror of a completely natural type. Anyway, I'm rambling a bit. I also read Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. This is a book that seems to be pretty popular on BookTube. I've seen a lot of other booktubers talk about it. It's a story of two men in Paris who fall in love. One of them already has a girlfriend and has been living his life as if he were straight and is kind of ashamed of his homosexuality. This is in the 1950s, when there was considerably more stigma attached to that. So the main character does have a homosexual love affair in his background, but he broke it off mainly out of shame, and now he's an American living in Paris, and he meets an Italian living in Paris who is working as a bartender at they don't explicitly call it a gay bar, but it's basically a gay bar. And they fall in love. He moves in with Giovanni into Giovanni's room, and then gets word that his girlfriend, who's been traveling on her own in Spain, is returning to Paris. And he has to decide what he's going to do. It's kind of a tragic story in a lot of ways, very sad, but also a really good read that I recommend. It has one of the strangest blurbs I've ever read on the front page of this vintage edition. It has quotes from various famous people such as Alfred Kazin and Langston Hughes, and then Norman Mailer, who writes, "He has become one of the few writers of our time." What? What time are we talking about? I mean, he's written between the 1950s when he died, I think in the 90s. One of the few writers of our time? One of the few writers in America between the 50s and the... What are you talking about? Anyway, maybe that needs context, but that doesn't... He has become one of the few writers of our time. That's also like the most left-handed compliment I've ever heard. It's like, of all the people writing books, old Jimmy Baldwin's one of them. Well, who gets the last laugh? I think James Baldwin's books are considerably more read and discussed and more highly thought of than Norman Mailer's these days, and probably into the future that will continue. Anyway, I'm still reading Marie Antoinette's, or Antonia Fraser's biography of Marie Antoinette for the STD Book Club. I'm a bit behind in this one, but it's still really good. It's in kind of digestible 10 to 20 page chapters. I've been trying to read one a day, and I did not succeed. But anyway, I'm going to get back to that one. I'm about a third of the way through it. It's really good. And last night I started Within a Budding Grove, Volume 2 of In Search of Lost Time. Some translations call this In the Shadow of Young Girls in Flower, which is a weird title. But anyway, yeah, so I don't know what's going on yet. There's some of the same characters from the first volume have returned, such as Monsieur Swan and Cotard, and the narrator, who eventually we learn is called Marcel. I don't think that's a spoiler. Anyway, so that's what's going on with me and these various books. Also, I'm following along with Steve Donohue's read-through of the Gospels, and if you're not following along with Steve Donohue's read-through of the Gospels, what are you doing? That's one of the best things on BookTube these days. So that's where we're up to, about the middle of the Gospel according to Matthew. He did Mark first, because that was historically the first one to be written, sort of the rough draft that the later ones followed. So let's see. Yesterday, I paid a visit to a bookstore here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, called Piedmont Books and More. It has been there on kind of the outskirts or the edge of town. It's on Ronaldo Road. You know, live in Winston-Salem, you know what this is. But anyway, it's not in a neighborhood that you would think would have a great used bookstore. It's in a big anonymous shopping plaza with a Food Lion and a Little Caesar Pizza and a Mexican restaurant. Good Mexican restaurant, by the way. But not a place where you would say, yeah, there's going to be a great used bookstore here. But there is. And it's Piedmont Books and More. And unfortunately, they have lost their lease, or the rent was jacked up unconscionably by a new owner of the shopping center. And so they are closing the store and having a big sale. So I went in to buy a bunch of books at half off, and their prices are already great. I didn't really think about it until I learned that they were closing, that this is the best used bookstore in town. And okay, you might live in a town with no used bookstores. You know, we have a few, but this was super friendly, well organized. They had a lot of classics, a lot of new fiction. They had a small selection of new releases up front. Everything always perfectly organized and alphabetized. You know, you couldn't go in there knowing you were going to find, with something in mind, knowing you would get it. There was a good chance, and it wouldn't take you long to determine if it was there or not. We still have a couple of other used bookstores. One of them is kind of like going to a Walmart, and one of them is kind of like going to a hoarder's house. So you might have to spend some time to find what you're looking for. I mean, perfectly good for browsing, perfectly good for spending time in. But Piedmont Used Books, super friendly people, really nice if you live in Winston-Salem or somewhere in the Piedmont Triad of North Carolina. I think they're open through March, so stop by and get some bargains and say hello. And they mentioned when I was there that they were still looking maybe for another lease. I hope that happens, because they're really nice people, and it's a great store. So that has been, I don't know, I got a silly number of books there. I don't know, are you interested in a book haul? I sometimes like to just sort of let them play in the background. But usually, to me, it's like, here's a book I got. I don't know what it's about. And here's another book I got. And I don't know. I'm looking forward to reading it. That kind of gets old. And no criticism of my fellow booktubers who do that. And if you like that, that's cool. But I don't know if you want to see me hold up a bunch of books that I haven't read and say, this is the sign of the four. A lot of people like it. Yeah. Anyway, so that's what I have for my Friday reads on a Sunday in this economy. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again later.